Bing bong. All right, off to the races. Oh, was I doing it?
I thought you were going to do the intro, then we crack one, but we can crack one first.
I thought you wanted to do the intro.
Oh, I don't care.
Do you want to do the intro or you want me to do it?
You wrote it. Go ahead for it.
Okay. We'll cut out all of this.
The first
Or we're going to leave in all of this.
30 seconds.
That's also kind of hilarious.
I mean, it could be the unedited cast.
The unedited cast.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cracker Cold Ones podcast, where a couple of guys are going to enjoy some recently opened, chilled beverages and pretend like we know what we're talking about. I'm guy number 1, Grayson.
I'm guy number 2, Christian.
And welcome to a Cracker Cold Ones podcast.
Salud. Kind of break down everything, guys. We're going to talk about week 15, our general thoughts about it. Some stuff that kind of happened during it, especially breaking down some injuries, what that could mean for teams, for playoff chances. Talk about the playoff picture, our personal power rankings, who we think is the top 10 in the NFL. If you agree, disagree, let us know. We are open to anything, but just know that you may be wrong. Also, have a little fun with a one-word game, and finally, we're going to end with our Week 16 slate, who we think is going to win, and how the games are going to play out.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so let's begin with that Week 15 early slate. First off, we had the Ravens and Bengals, Raiders, Eagles, Cardinals, Texans, Chargers and Chiefs, Bills and Patriots, Bills and Patriots, Commanders playing their team.
They're playing the Giants.
The Giants. Yeah, see, gotta read my notes right. And the Jets and the Jags. So let's kind of begin, with the ass beating that was given to the Raiders and to the Bengals.
Those poor Bengals, man. It's not even that Lamar looked to be back in 24 form. It really just looked like the Bengals forgot how to play football for a full game.
And with what happened this past week with Joe, he just seemed like he wasn't really feeling football anymore, He kind of sounded like he could be going the way of Andrew Luck, possibly. What do you think?
It wouldn't surprise me if he retires soon. I don't think he's done just yet. What I think is more likely is he asks for a trade, and the Bengals organization says no, but then it starts a huge shitstorm, and he ends up going anyway.
Well, that or he will just force retirement, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brown family is not known for giving up a lot of things. When you look at Carson Palmer, you look at Ocho Cinco and all of them, they took a very long time to get out of that situation. And I don't expect Joe, being the hometown kid that he is, to really get out of that as easily as possible.
Probably not. And he has been so riddled with injuries, it wouldn't blow me away to see an early retirement. But at his best, he loves the game, and he's clearly super talented. So I wouldn't say I think he's gone just yet, but I don't blame him for feeling a bit done with it all after the season that he's had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the better question is, where does he go?
Oh, there's so many teams that could use him. It's really just who can afford him. And if he's going to continue lugging along his two best friends in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, or if he's willing to be a one-man show finally.
That, or hear me out here, and I know you and I've talked about this off air. Vikings. I mean, yeah, J.J. McCarthy is seeming to be a little bit better than what he has been these past couple weeks, but man, he goes right back with Justin Jefferson, who he played with at LSU. They have T.J. Hawkinson, who's a pretty good tight end. On top of it, that O-line, I know they've had their issues, but they are a little bit to a lot better than the Bengals.
My thing with that is just they're not... You're going to have to trade a lion's horde of picks, and the Vikings don't have great picks. Like, they have plenty of picks to trade away, but they don't have a great first round this year. I mean, they're sitting at 6-8. They're probably going to win at least one more, I feel like. And they're very serious playoff contender. I don't think they're just going to fall off the map. So you're not going to trade Burrow for some late first rounders, even if it's a couple of them. You need some good first rounders.
And so, obviously, Jefferson might be part of that trade mix as well, of course. But there has to be a way around that. I mean, you look at the Rams. I mean, the way they've in the past have done their trades and how they've played with their money, it's a possibility that they could somehow figure that out. I mean, Kevin O'Connell came from that system.
Yeah, and I mean the Rams are about to need a quarterback. I could see something there. That's actually someplace I could maybe see. I don't think many teams in the AFC are going to be willing to toss away Joe Burrow. He's just too talented. But I just don't know. I don't know who can afford a man like Joe Burrow. That's quite the quarterback.
Yeah, he is quite the quarterback, and it sucks that it seems that maybe his career is coming down to injury and being not able to perform, because obviously the best trait a player can have is availability, and right now he doesn't have that. Yeah, he balls when he's out there, even though it didn't really look like it.
No, this was his worst game I think he may have ever had in the NFL.
But, obviously the Ravens had a little more, I wouldn't say they had a little more to play for, but they definitely seemed to have that juice behind them because they knew what was on the line. The Bengals, besides that his second year, they don't have that kind of pedigree. It's not that much better than the Browns, and that's the AFC North.
No, it's basically the opposite of the Browns, and it kind of has been for a while. The Browns have the best defense in football, arguably. They also don't have an offense. They put out a wet paper bag, and the Bengals are basically doing the same thing in reverse. They have undisputably the best offense when everything's working like it's supposed to, but it doesn't matter because their defense does not exist. So what do you do?
I mean, it's just bad ownership on both ends. The Brown family, granted, they've been here a lot longer and everything, and they are a part of NFL history at this point. But the Haslams have absolutely no excuse not to, get on away from the game. But if there's nothing else I want to say, we can move on to that other ass beating that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, that about sums it up. I hope Lamar continues to get healthier. He said it in practice today that he's feeling better finally. This is the best that he's felt in a while. This is the first time that he's practiced in the first available practice for the week I think since he got his major injury. So he's trending in a good direction. He definitely didn't look like Lamar, but he's starting to look like a serviceable quarterback, and that may be enough with Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry. But yeah,
Derrick Henry looked a lot better this game.
Yes.
I mean, he came back with a vengeance, it seemed. I mean, I don't quite remember all his stats, but they were looking really good. I mean,
let me see. He got a lot of yards. I think he averaged 9.1 yards a carry. Had about 11 carries.
Oh my God,
that's
Madden numbers.
What my numbers are saying here, that's kind of insane.
That's Madden numbers, and of course, listeners, if you want to correct us and crucify us, it's fine. We can take it. But the fact that he came back and looking like prime Derrick Henry, so either he's holding onto the ball, he didn't fumble it, thank God, right? I guess the question could be, is that a, and going back to the Ravens, is that a one-time thing, or is this him building up to the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, this is the time when you play your best football. So I think we'll see. I think the coming games for the Ravens will kind of show if they're legit or if the Steelers are just going to automatically take that division. But I'm not quite ready to say the Ravens are back. I will say the Bengals are done, and they might be done all the way. Kind of like the Raiders, who got maybe the worst ass-kicking we've seen this year.
I mean, yes. I mean, honestly, the Eagles probably needed that game to kind of get back into it. A.J. Brown, his deal, Jalen Hurts trying to be a wisdom guru when he's really just needs to play football. I mean, and that's not a shut up and dribble thing, everybody. It's just he too many sound bites, in my opinion.
Amen. I think this came at a time when the Eagles desperately needed it, but it doesn't tell me that the Eagles are back. It tells me they got a free win against the Raiders, and that's good for them. But we'll see if they can actually keep that going or not. Rest in peace, Kenny Pickett. Rest in peace, the Raiders. If you're a Raiders fan, I'm so sorry that you have to go through with this.
And I'm also sorry that Max Crosby. I know he signed a big contract, but man, he needs. In my opinion, he needs to find somewhere else.
He should have joined the Cowboys when Jerry definitely called him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think he really wants to have that stigma, if you will. Nothing wrong being a Cowboys fan, unless you are one.
Yeah, amen. But yeah, that really wasn't much of a game to talk about. Eagles kind of looking a little more informed, but still a bit messy.
It was the bunny dying.
It was the bunny dying. Rest in peace. Texans, Cardinals. Honestly, as much as we are admittedly Texans fans.
Yes, folks. And I was there. I have to admit, I'm very biased.
But there's really not even much to say about that game. I will say, Texans looked the best on offense that they have all year, outside of beating the ever-loving shit out of the Ravens without Lamar.
Right.
It really doesn't count.
No.
This is the more legit win where they put up, what was it?
40 points against 20 points.
Looked fantastic on offense. Defense continuing to ball out. It honestly looked like they gave up and started letting them get some touchdowns. And admittedly weren't playing great against Terry McBride, but that's the number one tight end.
Yeah, Trey McBride, I mean, that's another guy who could leave, and I know we're going to be saying that about a lot of teams, and, you know, that's just us being Monday morning quarterbacks, Tuesday morning GMs, if you will, and just trying to see these players get better. I mean, with the potential possibility being really high of Travis Kelce leaving the Chiefs and retiring, Trey McBride could fill that hole in no time. But we can talk about the Chiefs when we get to them in a moment. But man, that was a fantastic game being there. Sorry for the wide receiver who went down. Play stopped for about 10 minutes or so. It was kind of an intense situation, but that neck injury. But hopefully he's doing better. His family is there. Supporting him and getting support he needs from the team. But the energy inside the stadium was fantastic. Shout out to Toro for hitting the Mascot Hall of Fame. It was fantastic. MVP Toro. So he's a great mascot, of course. But in my opinion, as long as we don't slack against the Raiders this coming week, preview week 16 by the way, we should be in great shape to kind of run the table. Knock on wood, to kind of get a great playoff spot.
Amen. And that'll bring us to Chargers-Chiefs, which was some of the ugliest football that I've seen in a minute, if I'm being honest, on both sides. That Chargers line has been decimated. Herbert's hand is basically a baseball mitt. Hell yeah. There's really not a lot of positives to say about the Chargers besides they're hanging in there, and Justin Herbert is an absolute menace to society. Run game spotty. But he's doing his absolute best. But unfortunately, the Chiefs are, unfortunately or fortunately, the Chiefs are out of the playoff race. But definitively, unfortunately, we did see Patrick Mahomes go down to a not only season-ending but potentially next season shortening injury. And that was a very ugly game start to finish. No one really looked great, in my opinion, but it did keep the Chargers churning and officially end that Chiefs season once and for all.
And not only the season, but the dynasty. At least his version of it, right? Chris Jones is looking old. He can go for a couple late round draft picks. Travis Kelce possibly retiring. With Travis Kelce looking the way he has been, this wide receiver core has been less than stellar for Patrick, and now Gardner Minshew coming up. I don't think that this is a retool. This is a rebuild for the Chiefs, and especially with Patrick being injured, and there's no playoff hope. No need to go out and get a quarterback. No need to do a Phillip Rivers. So no go getting Tom Brady. No go getting Matt Ryan. No go getting Peyton Manning or Eli. Just stay the course of Gardner Minshew. Get a better pick, and shore up that O-line. Get a better receiver, maybe get a running game, and I love Kareem Hunt. I know he's had some issues in the past, but he was really good his first couple years. He's a Toledo Rocket, Texan fan, but also an Ohioan. Also, go Buckeyes. Had to throw that in there. And so they just need more depth, a little more star power, if you will, in that Chiefs.
It's just time. I mean, you hit it on the head. The dynasty's over, at least this version of it. I don't think the Chiefs are dead in the water. It's not over. But Patrick Mahomes has got a recovery ahead of him. Travis Kelce should retire now. I think it's more poetic for him to have got his last pass from, he got one from Gardner Minshew. It's more poetic for Patrick Mahomes to be the starting quarterback for his last game than for him to play a bunch of garbage time games in a season that doesn't matter. That's not the way anybody wants to go out, but he's had one of the most incredible careers that any player could have, let alone a tight end. And you can look at trading Chris Jones next season, which I think you realistically should be doing. You got to spruce up that line. You need to improve the defense overall. It's taken a huge step back this year. You need to improve that run game. You need to get some better weapons because Rashee Rice has been spotty. He's had great moments. He also has had moments where he looks just average. Xavier Worthy never really leveled up. He just looks fine. They just have a whole lot of stuff that's not clicking. I think Hunt's good, but he's just fine.
A lot of 2s and 3s. I mean, if Juju Smith-Schuster is your 1 or 2, I mean that is not a great receiving core. If he's your 2 or 3, then yeah, absolutely. Any of these guys be your 2 or 3. You need I hate to say it, a Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
You need a Justin Jefferson, even a Jalen Waddle. I know he's a 2 in Miami, but he's kind of number 1, especially now with what's going on.
He's basically a number 1, and they don't really have a number 1. Like, Rashee Rice is the number 1. He has his moments where he deserves it. Xavier Worthy has shown signs, but he's really not it. Hollywood Brown has been it for them for a couple of weeks, but that was horrendous. He can't catch a ball. Like, they need a lot of stuff. So it's time for the Chiefs to look towards the future. I hope that they accept that, tank the season. I hope Travis Kelce accepts he needs to retire. Like, I hate to let these legends go out on a sour note, but sometimes that's how the year goes. He truthfully should have ended it last year. I feel like Travis Kelce has had his worst year of football, in my opinion. And see if they can take this into the next phase of the dynasty, or see if it's actually over with most likely Andy Reid kind of on his way out soon. I don't think he's gone tomorrow, but he's probably only got a few more seasons in him. We're about to see a very different Chiefs team and see if they can actually continue.
Absolutely. And, Andy, Hall of Famer, he needed Patrick to get those Super Bowl rings that eluded him in Philadelphia. Coached 2 teams. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, he winning record alone, Hall of Famer, even without the Super Bowl rings. But, as Grayson said, it's time. The O-line is almost as bad as the Texans O-line.
Truth.
And or the Browns. And it's not... It cost them. It cost them Patrick. He has never really had a major injury like this, but now he has, and that kind of is a little scary. I mean, not only has Joe Burrow had these, now Patrick has, and now what's going to happen? Does he stay the course, being that somewhat Iron Man, or does he become a little more brittle?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get more into that in injuries, but. It was an interesting game just in how ugly it was. It didn't give me a ton of faith in the Chargers. It definitely made me feel bad about the Chiefs. We'll see if Herbert can stay the course and keep them onto the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs this year, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised by an early exit just because of how injury-ridden that team has been. It's no one's fault. Herbert is playing admittedly at like a low-level MVP, like an MVP conversation level. He's looked fantastic. That run game, when it's good, has been great. There's a lot of great stuff happening over there, but sometimes you just get a lot of injuries.
Yeah, and it's been unfortunate. I know Harbaugh has a certain way of playing. It's very physical, very run heavy, and when you do that, you do put your linemen at risk. But I think if the entire line was healthy, I do believe this would be a potential second round playoff team, maybe even conference championship. But there is other teams that have shown up more in the past several weeks in the last part of the season that are proving that maybe even with a slow start, this strong finish will show that they are contenders.
Like the Bills and Patriots.
Patriots.
That was... What a game. Honestly, that was probably my game of the week, looking at the whole slate. That or Lions-Rams. That was also damn explosive. But that was the Patriots games to lose, and they did. Bills looked truly awful in the first half, and Patriots looked unstoppable. Travion Henderson, my Rookie of the Year candidate, and I'm only biased because I picked him up in fantasy for free, and I love him with my whole heart. But the Patriots are playing insane football right now, but they couldn't close out the game. Josh Allen did Josh Allen shit and closed that one out on the other side. James Cook ran for 22 carries, 107 yards, 5 yards a carry, 2 tutties, longest 12 yards. He was their workhorse, and Josh Allen is an MVP, as he should be.
Back to back, and congratulations to Josh and Haley. Obviously, they're never going to listen to this, and they don't know us. And as soon as I saw the announcement, I said to Grayson, he's going to win the Super Bowl. I'm still going to hold that in the back of my head because as soon as he got married last year, he became a monster. He was Superman. Put on the cape, and he went to town. He showed his experience against inexperienced Patriots team. Now, this Patriots team is fantastic. Vrabel, have to definitely shout out to him how he in 1 year has turned this team around. Something that Bill wasn't able to do. Gerard Mayo struggled with, and I think coming from the Patriots culture, of course, for Vrabel helped, but he has it in a way that's a little more player friendly. The expectation of do your job is still there, but let me show you a little bit of love. Whether they're coming in from the field, he's giving them hugs, showing them appreciation, having some good speeches. Not quite Ben Johnson speeches, but still some good ones. And just of course Drake May. Right now he's number 2 in my MVP.
Drake May.
He has shown that he is or has the potential to be an elite player. And if you get a couple more weapons around him, oh man, that's gonna be lightning, if you will.
100%. I love the Patriots team. I think they've got a lot of stuff to be very happy about. I've seen some circulation that people are talking about that being a good thing that they lost, and that kind of humbles them, gets them warm for the playoffs and all that. Sure. I don't. We'll get into it more in the power rankings because I have a lot to say about the Patriots. But I think that game showed a lot of the reasons that they're suspect, and we're just gonna have to see with them. And it showed a lot of the reasons that the Bills are still suspect, because when Josh Allen is not Josh Allen, that team does nothing, and that's kind of what it's been a lot of this season. If he gets bottled up, they don't do anything. The defense does nothing, and Josh Allen can only do so much at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, against the Texans, he was not Josh Allen. He was.
He got his ass kicked.
He was a victim.
Yeah, he was. He was a victim of abuse.
Yeah,
it was lovely to watch.
As my son said a week ago, he was a victim of BTA, beating that ass or belt to ass, if you will.
Yep, that's facts.
So I do agree that the Bills are suspect, but man, if Josh is on, and honestly, if he has Cook supporting him the way he does, they could go far on just that. Grant you, I don't know if they'll win them the Super Bowl, just because 2 players, when you have 11 guys on the field, 22 in total, if you have that many players, 2 of them can't just carry the entire thing.
Yeah, I just feel like when I talk about the Bills, I'm talking about Josh Allen. I'm not talking about the Bills, because the defense, I don't have many positive things to say.
You can't.
If you put a gun up to my head, I would have a hard time naming too many of their receivers that have made an impact. Their tight end situation has been difficult with people coming in and out due to injuries. They don't have much of a team to support their incredible talent in Josh Allen. James Cook, I love James Cook. I think he's really stepped up. He's doing a great job over there, but it's just not enough with 2 people. They need a wide receiver 1, and they need a better defense to put. I feel like the defense took a huge step back this year. But, there's only so much that you can do, and when we're talking about taking a step back, the Commanders and the Giants, the Jets and the Jaguars, those are some teams that, I guess the Jets didn't take a step back.
No.
Those are some teams, especially the Commanders, that took a step back. I barely have much to say about these games, especially Jets and Jaguars. It did not make me think Trevor Lawrence is the second coming of Jesus Christ. He looked incredible, but he was playing against the Jets.
Who fired their defensive coordinator.
Rightly so. And then the Commanders-Giants, it's a garbage time sort of game. Mariota did great. Jaden Daniels is out for the season. Jackson Dart looked a little worse this game. I don't care. I think really what it comes down to is I don't care. This game did not matter, and it really doesn't have any stock in anything. And these are two teams that one of them's not using their starter. The other one is missing like 3 major players in the Giants. They're missing their star running back, their star receiver, and their entire organization has been fired. These are two teams that are ready to just wipe this season off the list and go to the next one. So, whatever.
The Giants organization is one of those I believe that maybe new ownership would be good for the lifeblood of the franchise. I mean, the Maras. Pretty sure it's the Maras.
That sounds right.
The Maras, because Mara Rooney, they're all kind of intertwined. Because the Rooneys also could release the Steelers. We can talk about that a little bit. But I think a change in ownership might be fantastic. Like the Commanders, yes, this season has been kind of lax, but last season they were fantastic. The new ownership kind of breathed life into them. New ownership with Denver has breathed new life into them. We'll talk about that here shortly as well. And then just I think other teams. So kind of quickly go through the rest of this early slate. Browns, Bears. Bears pickup game. They kind of got back in the swing of things. They could have let that one go because of all the emotion from last week against the Packers. They didn't let it affect them. But, man, they came back swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. Bears looked fantastic. They really ran against one of the better run defenses in the entire NFL and made that defense look a lot worse. I will say that's 2 weeks in a row that the defense has not really stepped up as much as it has historically, which is something to keep an eye on. But the Browns season has been done for a while. It ultimately isn't super impactful one way or the other. And then looking at the other early game slate, we have the Panthers-Saints, which was surprisingly good if you're a Saints fan. Shuck maybe has it. I don't know. That whole quarterback room has been pretty good, but that Saints team has just been a mess, and the Panthers are one of the most hot and cold teams I've ever seen in the NFL.
The entire NFC South is just a mess. It's a hot potato of who wants to take the division. Is it Tampa? Is it Carolina?
Shit, at this point, put the Saints in. I don't care.
It'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the head coach in his first year, he's done as good of a job as he could with what he had. I mean, I know it's historically not strong ownership over there, but man, he's done pretty well with what he has, and he's screwing up a lot of people's season right now.
Yeah, and seasons. It's been a weird season for the Saints, but they looked great. The Panthers they didn't look awful, but every time someone plays the Saints, I feel like we're all like, why are they losing? So, I don't know. The Panthers I don't have a ton of faith in, but not a ton to pull from that. I will jump back really quick to the Jaguars. I don't think... I am admittedly pretty cold on the Jags. This game did not do much to change that, despite this being hands down the best performance of Trevor Lawrence's short career so far. This is the best he's ever looked with, I think, like 4... I have it right here. He had 20 of 32, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns, and I don't even have his rushing touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure he got another like 2 or 3 rushing. Insane stat line. One of the best we've ever seen from a quarterback, but it's against the Jets. I don't care.
Right.
So,
in fact, also, he was not this way until Liam Cohen came. I honestly think Liam Cohen would be better with a different quarterback.
Yes.
Even someone like Mac Jones, even somebody like
Joe Burrow.
Especially Joe Burrow. However, if you put him in the South, in the AFC South, that's a little terrifying for us.
Yeah, I'd rather not. But yeah, it just didn't do much for me. Most of those games, though, I really wouldn't say there's a ton to pull from. But looking at our late slate, we did have the Lions and Rams, the biggest game of offense that has been ever seen in the first quarter.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a offensive onslaught. Good for Campbell for trying to keep up that time with Sean McVay. And, Dan Campbell is a great coach. I think he's a great motivator. However, the X's and O's may not be his strong suit. And McVay has shown time and time again he is a mastermind. Actually, the entire NFC West, for the most part, has a lot of masterminds. Yeah. Besides the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, he's going to get the boot.
He
this
can
season.
Get fired. It's about time.
Yeah,
but definitely the Lions Rams was such a game. Rams looked incredible. They did have some big injuries that we'll talk about. And the Lions, I think if it wasn't time before, it's time to start getting a little nervous. I don't think this team is dead in the water. I don't think this team is garbage, but I think losing their coordinators did a lot more damage than we would have liked to see, unfortunately.
And it's after they kept them in house. I mean, they have, as we have seen, a lot of teams aren't as successful hiring people in house. They're more successful hiring people outside of the organization, and that is where Dan kind of dropped the ball this season. I think, honestly, you keep the defensive coordinator, the young guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Kelvin Shepard, I believe.
I believe so, yes. That sounds about right. Keep him, let him kind of develop next season because he's had some good stuff going on. Also, he's had a lot of injuries.
Again, this is the second year in a row where that defense has been mangled. I mean, you lost Branch recently. That's a big loss. You have Aiden Hutchinson, but he is not a one-man show like some of these guys.
And last year, he was messed up.
Yeah, he was gone all of last year, basically. I mean, the injuries are really starting to stack up, and at a point, you have to start asking, what are you doing wrong? I distinctly remember Amon-Ra St. Brown talking about, I can't remember the name of the Eagles player, but someone came over from the Eagles, and he was blown away that everybody was practicing in full pads with full tackles and full physical violence. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's why you guys are injured all the time. You're going hard, and that breeds a certain culture and a certain identity, but you're also dead. So you can't bring anybody to the field.
Yeah, especially later in the season, you can't be doing that. People are battered, they're injured. Guys have, wear and tear on their body, and a minor injury turns into a big one really fast with that.
Amen. And you've got, I also will say, as I'm cracking another cold one.
And folks, if you can guess how many we've drank, I mean, we'll give you a shout out.
69. That was Jahmyr Gibbs' worst game of the year. He really didn't do much. Amon-Ra was an absolute menace to society. What did do I have him here? I do not. I do.
While he's looking, I mean, it just kind of shows that offense needs to be more well-rounded. It can't be just Amon-Ra, can't be just Jahmyr, can't be just Montgomery, can't be just Goff. Everybody has to play their part.
13 receptions, 164 yards, 12.6 average, 2 touchdowns, longest 52. Amon-Ra had an absolute game. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't remember what he did because it was pretty inconsequential, and I feel like that's been a consistent problem this year with the Lions. Just like Christian said, you've got games where Amon-Ra is insane. You've got games where Jahmyr Gibbs was insane. You have games where Sam Laporta was insane when he was still in. Even their other wide receiver, that's name isn't coming to me. Williams. Williams has had some fantastic games. Yeah, Jameson Williams, he went 7 for 134 and 20-yard average and a touchdown. They have some games where things really start clicking, but I feel like usually one person takes the whole thing, and Jahmyr Gibbs did not show up this time. Montgomery out-touched him and outdid him. Please, my good man.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I just think it's time to start being a little worried about this Lions team. I don't think they're dead. I still take them seriously, but the Rams are legit. Unfortunately, the Colts are probably dead in the water.
I mean, shout out to the Phillip Rivers. I mean, he kept them in that game for as bad as he looked. It was, I hate to say it, and I don't want to sound like one of those old guys, but that was old school football, man. I mean,
that was old school football. A lot of pounding the rock.
A lot of pounding the rock, but, he needed that. And, man, the play that stands out to me besides his interception was he also let him get to OT. The fact that this Seahawks team, as hot and cold as they can be, he kept it in there. He got him to overtime.
Did they go to overtime?
They go to overtime. Or almost overtime. No.
It almost went to overtime.
Correct.
It was a nail biter of a field goal, but he was keeping him in it. I don't think that was Phillip Rivers' fault by any means. I think I'll talk about it more when we get into our power rankings, but I think it once again showed Darnold looking bad.
Yes.
That was another one of his worst games, and it really shouldn't have been as close as it was. If the Seahawks offense worked like it was supposed to, I don't think it would have been. But Phillip Rivers did what he did, and it was great to see him play again. Weird throw and all. So I'll take nothing from him. And Jonathan Taylor is an absolute menace to society. So
yes, absolutely. That. And I was, as I was saying, the play that stood out to me the most was the bad snap that went above his head. Yeah. He caught it and he just went down. He didn't try to fight for more yards. He didn't try to expand the play. He said, "I know what my limitations are. I'm just going to grab it, secure it, go down. Fight another day." I mean, some of these younger guys, whether it be Jackson Dart, whether it be Jaden Daniels, they would try to run, or even
Lamar. I think Lamar has had a big problem in the playoffs, specifically of trying to pick up the ball when it's fumbled and make a play, and instead he makes it way worse.
Yeah, and especially Jalen Hurts. I mean, you go back to the Chargers game, the double turnover play.
Yeah, sometimes just fall on the ball, man. And Phillip Rivers did that. That was 57 agility right there, baby. He dropped on that ball. He did what he was supposed to. He didn't look too bad. Technically, the Colts are not eliminated by any means. They're right up in the conversation by the numbers, but I just really can't say that there's room for them to make their way back in, unfortunately. You hate to see it with a team that just went all in on what looked like an incredible season, but sometimes you just get hit with injuries. I don't think that's anybody on the Colts organization's fault. They went all in on Sauce Gardner. They were set with Daniel Jones, but sometimes you just get a bunch of injuries that punch you in the mouth, and it is what it is.
Absolutely, and I will say Phillip is set to start on Monday night.
We'll see. I believe Anthony Richardson also went back to practice, so there's a chance that he could come back.
Look, I'll be very frank. At least someone will catch the ball if Phillip is throwing it.
That's true. You should put in Anthony Richardson, technically, because that's the man that you drafted not too long ago.
Mistake.
But I would put in Phillip Rivers if I was them.
Yeah, or even Riley Leonard.
Honestly, I might put myself in. I think I'd be like Coach talking to me in the mirror. I'm going in, and I'd pad up.
I just want to say he looks at himself. He points to himself in the mirror. It kind of looks like Uncle Sam, like, put yourself in.
Yeah, and I do that most days, to be fair, so it wouldn't be tough for me if I was the Colts coach.
No.
But jumping into Packers and Broncos, this was quite a game.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot more offense than I was expecting. What did we end up at? We had 34-26 with the Denver win, in a game that I thought was going to be all defense all day.
Absolutely, especially the way that the Broncos team has been playing. It's been mostly defense. Bo Nix decided this was the game he was going to look like an MVP.
This was, I think, maybe the best game he's ever had. 23 for 34, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, 134 passer rating, which 134.7. I believe that might be his best passer rating that he's had in the NFL. I might be speaking out of my ass, but he looked phenomenal. This is the best I think he's ever looked.
Absolutely, and I know we say Jordan Love, has the Toyota-thon thing going on, but it might be Bo Nix, because last year around this time, kind of the same thing.
Sure.
Early in the season, he was a little shaky. The defense kind of got him out of situations. He definitely looked like he needed a lot of work, but now, as we've gotten closer and closer to the playoffs, he's improved. He's more accurate. He is throwing bombs. He is looking, I wouldn't say MVP level, but he's looking like a confident quarterback, and definitely fits into that mold of what Sean Payton likes, the Drew Brees, the quarterback that is accurate but can also move a little bit.
Yeah, he moves when he needs to. He's definitely not a full dual threat or anything, but he's got a cannon of an arm and a true howitzer. He will sling it down the field every other play. And that offense does not need a ton to win games because the defense is so good. So when you have the offense working like it's supposed to, I mean, you get a very good team. And I have not taken this team super seriously a lot of the year, admittedly, because Bo Nix has been questionable so often and that offense looked so abysmal. But Harvey has really stepped up with J.K. Dobbins out and is looking a lot better. Bo Nix is playing his best football right now. That defense is insane. They have Patrick Surtain back. Terrible injuries for Green Bay. I don't think they played terrible, but they had some really rough injuries. That team has been riddled with injuries all year.
Yeah.
They just couldn't quite cut it this time. I don't think they played awful or anything, though.
I know we'll get into more of the injury stuff. I do think this injury, and I'll talk about them a little bit in my power rankings as well, but I do think after this week, they're going to be off the power rankings. I do think that with the certain injury that we're going to discuss, that they're going to have a repeat of last year, but they're kind of one and done in the playoffs where they're not going to go very far.
Yeah, you truly hate to see it. At the start of the year, I had the Packers as my Super Bowl team, but they've just had too much injury. Tucker Kraft's out. Christian Watson's very questionable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've had more than 1 or 2 games tops where their entire receiver core was out there. Micah Parsons is tragic. That team is just riddled, and they are Super Bowl ready, but it's just not their year.
And the players that you mentioned before, Micah, they could have been fine without them. They could have limped, but without Micah. Grant you, his numbers aren't looking the greatest, but the fact people are double teaming him or triple, or they're focusing on him, that's giving other players opportunities to kind of play defense at a higher level. Now, with him being out, those guys are now more of the focus, which now lessens the value of that defense.
I think the defense just took a huge step back, and I don't disagree. I think they're very close to off of true playoff seriousness. I don't know that they disappear tomorrow or anything. I'd have to look at their full schedule, but this team has taken very big hits. Kind of like the Titans. I wanted to segue, but the Titans haven't been a team all year.
They haven't, but I'll tell you what. The 49ers did what they had to do.
Yes.
They were supposed to win. However, that was probably the best or one of the best the Titans have looked all season.
They kept it pretty close in the first half. They were right up there with them. They were looking pretty good. I said going into this season, I thought Cam Ward was a very strong pick. The Titans organization is an absolute mess. Hopefully they get it all together. I think they have a lot of good stuff that you can work with. But yeah, Niners are looking great once again.
Yeah, absolutely. They've had the issues with the quarterback this year, early Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. This kind of shows you how good of a mind Kyle Shanahan has, how the X's and O's are how he's a lot like his dad, how he's a lot like Mike. Mike did a lot of great things with John Elway, Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, and Kyle's kind of doing the same thing, and Kyle's come a long way. However, it also kind of lessens the value of Brock Purdy.
A little bit. I don't think Brock Purdy's that good, if we're being 100 right now. I've been a Brock Purdy denier for a while. I don't think he's bad by any stretch of the imagination.
I think it's Kyle.
Yeah, I think Brock Purdy is good. I think he's a very solid, 12th best quarterback in the league forever. I don't think he does.
That's very nice stuff of you to say that.
Honestly, 16 might be more accurate for me. I'm a big Purdy denier, but undeniably, he's looked great. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So that team is putting it together. Another team putting it together. Kirk Cousins led in passing yards this week with 30 of 44, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 sack taken, which is incredible for him, and a 116 passer rating. As they barely take it over the Bucs to put them still in the lead for that division, and at this point, I don't care about the NFC South.
You can't. I mean, like I said, it's a hot potato division. I mean, is it the Panthers? Is it the Tampa Bay? Someone needs to make a daggone decision. However, I think, and I kind of wanted to mention this about coaches, if some of these guys don't make the playoffs, Panthers coach David. Canastis Canales, yeah. He's fine. I mean, the fact that he took this Panthers team, but
Todd Bowles needs to maybe getting hot.
I don't think it's hot. I think it's boiling.
Yeah.
However, who I do think is hot is Sean McDermott.
Sure.
just because of what's been going on with the Bills. I mean, if they don't make it very far in the playoffs, if they don't make at least the AFC Championship game, he might go. I think it's time.
Especially this year where you maybe don't have Lamar, you definitely don't have Burrow, you don't have Mahomes.
Patrick.
There's almost no excuse. The Bills should be to the Super Bowl right now, and it's questionable if they're going to make it to the playoffs, and that's insane.
Correct.
But I think Ted Bowles is having a tough year. Obviously, a lot of injuries, but my God, this was the game where everybody was there, and they looked like shit. They barely got a lot of these plays off. It didn't feel as close as it ended up being at 29-28 with the Bucs losing. I felt like it was a little suspect that they kept winning these games so close for the first 4 or 5 weeks, but I was like, Baker's just that good, but he's injured now. They can't keep doing the heroics anymore, unfortunately.
No. And, Baker, he's not the same level as a Josh or a Patrick. He is definitely that more B-tier quarterback, and that's fine. That's going to win you some playoff games. It's going to maybe get you to a Super Bowl. I mean, you look at Jimmy Garoppolo getting the Super Bowls. You look at Brock Purdy getting the Super Bowls. You look at Jalen Hurts, because I don't think he's an A quarterback. I think he's a B-plus quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's a B-plus, and I would say Baker's in that same tier as Jalen Hurts, honestly, a B-plus, where he absolutely does everything you need him to do, and he does a little more, but he can't win this game on his own like a Josh Allen can, and that team's doing him no favors. The defense kind of sold out for him, and the offense had no excuse to
look that way.
That bad.
Right. And the fact that Todd Bowles' side of the ball is defense, and it looks this awful. I mean, a couple weeks ago, they signed Jason Pierre-Paul, who I believe, if I remember correctly, is missing some fingers from when he shot fireworks about 8-10 years ago. And it's onto the practice squad. I mean, he was on that Super Bowl winning team when Tom Brady was there. But again, Baker Mayfield's not Tom Brady.
No, he's not. And that's not to take anything away. I love Baker. But this is looking more and more like not their season. I think they're going to make a very quick playoff exit if they even make it. I wouldn't bet on them versus the Panthers. I wouldn't bet on the Panthers versus them. I don't know what's happening there, and I don't care.
Somebody has to win.
Someone has to win, unfortunately.
And whoever gets them in the playoffs is going to say thank you very much.
Yep.
And get that first round win.
Vikings, Cowboys. Cowboy season is functionally over.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy to see, as one of the best offenses we may have seen in a long time is absolutely brought down. But the trades weren't quite early enough. The defense took a step up, absolutely, but just too late in the season. There was too many losses, and that season's functionally over. I mean, good thing for J.J. McCarthy, I guess.
No, absolutely. And so Brian Schottenheimer has done a great job with that offense, as you were saying. He has other people have said, other pundits have said, as a head coach, if you can fix your side of the ball, your first year, you've done a great job, and he has done that with Dak. Dak, if Josh Allen wasn't around or Drake May wasn't around, he'd be number one in my MVP discussion.
And he's still in my top 5. I think he doesn't win because the Cowboys aren't winning enough.
Correct.
But Dak has looked incredible. George Pickens for a lot of the season looked superb, but I don't think Schottenheimer is strong enough to keep Pickens under wraps when they're not thriving, and Pickens kind of fell apart the last couple of games. That team kind of fell apart as the defense sold out. Tragic to see for a team that would have been really interesting, but just didn't quite cut it. And 9 is outside with it. Good job, J.J. McCarthy, at fixing your form. Cool.
I mean, yes, and obviously it took Josh Allen a little bit of time to do that as well, and maybe that's going to be the case. But I guess the thing is that everybody but J.J. McCarthy has looked. Even Carson Wentz was decent under the Kevin O'Connell system, and the fact that it's taken him this long is questionable. Honestly, in my opinion, the Cowboys should have won that game.
Yes.
The fact that the Vikings took that from them kind of just shows how weak the defense is. How maybe they are definitely not playoff ready, how they don't have that mentality. I know they have a couple of wide receivers who have that number one mentality, have more of that. And I don't want to poo-poo on a guy who makes a lot more money than I ever will. but have more of that diva mentality and just kind of just kind of focus more on themselves than the team sometimes, as we kind of saw against the Vegas, against the Raiders, where they kind of went out for hours upon end and they got super wasted.
I won't take anything away from a couple of dudes that could be drunk until like 3 a.m. and then play their best football.
Yeah, still
that's
perform.
Magnificent. But yeah, I just don't think Schottenheimer can corral Pickens on his worst day, and I don't like J.J. McCarthy at this point. I think he's a great locker room guy based on everything we've seen, but if it takes 2 years to break down a quarterback and rebuild him in an offense that has basically turned every single quarterback it's touched into gold, I think you have to start looking at it a little bit sideways. Kind of like how I looked at the Dolphins-Steelers game, which is so boring and awful that I really don't want to talk about it at all.
No, and I know Aaron had a great game. His numbers looked pretty good. I did see today that McDaniels was considering maybe putting somebody else in as a starter because of how poorly Tua played. Honestly, Tua needs to be a backup, in my opinion. He's too many concussions. He doesn't always perform well. He definitely is not as mindful of the game as certain other quarterbacks are.
His time has passed, unfortunately. You hate to see a man just get destroyed brain-wise, but he's done for. He has been for a bit. That offense has been winning in spite of him for the past few games, but they looked... Tua looked awful that game, and they can only do so much in spite of him.
Now, granted, they've looked a lot better since Tyreek has left, and that's because any wide receiver one who has that strong of a personality, they demand the ball. That you can go all the way back to Terrell Owens, you can go back to Des Bryant, you can go back to Ocho Cinco, you can go back to even Randy Moss. They did not do well until they had a strong quarterback. And with Patrick and Andy Reid with Tyreek, strong. He was fine. He was able to corral that. However, with Mike McDaniel, who I think is a great coordinator, maybe not a great head coach, and also Tua as maybe not the strongest quarterback, they're not able to corral that kind of talent.
Tua's the GOAT, but in the sense that he leads with the head when he tackles. And I just think, unfortunately, his time was done last year, and he's still here. And Tua turned the ball over is a mess.
He is.
That game was ugly.
Now, grant you, I don't know if Quinn Ewers is the answer. However,
He's not.
how and that's him. I'm trying to be nice here. However, I know McDaniels is coaching for his job right now. I don't think he keeps it, or if he does because of the way they've been performing lately. I get it, though. They have been effectively eliminated from the playoffs. They are 6-8. I think he can go somewhere and be a great coordinator.
And I think he should go somewhere and be a great coordinator because he's just not... He is not one of those locker room culture guys. He is incredible with the X's and O's, and that's basically all that he has. His players hate him.
Yeah, no, I know Grace and I have joked about him going to the Bears and just him and Ben Johnson being little X's and O gremlins for hours on end.
Warlocks above the cauldron just whispering. Yeah, what if we pitched it back to the center and he throws the ball? They'll never see it coming.
What if Joe Tooney carries...
It's about sending a message.
Caleb Williams to the end zone.
But that is our games for the week. So we'll get into injuries. We'll start out with some of the more substantial ones. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, despite Chiefs being out of playoff contention, Patrick Mahomes is dealing with a torn ACL, a season-ending injury. He is done for this year, and most likely some of next year. Unless he was Patrick Mahomes, which he is, so he'll probably be back by the start of next year.
I think he'll be back by the start of next season. He might miss preseason. He might miss, a bunch of the summer OTAs and whatnot. However, I do think he doesn't necessarily need that. He'll be there in spirit. He'll be there kind of talking to the guys, especially if they draft some wide receivers or if they have some new offensive linemen. However, I think it helps the Chiefs. I think because he's, no matter if they're out, he's still going to go out and try to ball. He's still going to compete as most of these guys do. But you put in Gardner Minshew, they get a better pick.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Gardner Minshew, I don't think they win any more games with Gardner Minshew. Maybe one. I'd have to look at their slate, but I think it's better if they lose out. It's tragic to see a man. We're all tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs if you're not a Chiefs fan. But you never want to see a man that cares that much about the game take a crazy injury like that in one of the worst seasons the Chiefs have had in
a long time. 10 years. Yeah.
10 years plus. In Patrick Mahomes' career, for sure. That is awful to see. But that's how it goes sometimes. And honestly, I don't think there's another way it could have ended for the Chiefs functionally in the playoff picture than with Patrick Mahomes taking a crazy injury. I think it's better for their, not only their mental health, but like we were already saying, for their playoff or their pick, just because he would have balled out until the last second if they won this game, which they probably would have if he hadn't gotten injured in that moment. I think they basically were charging down the field and then ended up throwing a pick in the end of the game. So there's a good chance that Patrick wins that instead, and then they keep this hope alive. They keep winning out games, and I think they still probably don't make it to the playoffs at the end of the year, and you're just in a worse spot. So best of luck to Patrick Mahomes. I hope he has a good, healthy recovery from this, and I hate to see it.
Absolutely, and I think it's like when Tom Brady was playing, right? We knew he was one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Maybe not the best player, but he was so cerebral with all of his reading the defense, reading the offense. Him and Josh McDaniels did a great job. It's going back to that with Patrick. We see him year after year after year, but we will appreciate his greatness when he's gone. However, this will help him in the long run. I hate to say, I don't know if he'll be as mobile as he used to be. I don't know if he's going to be. He's playing footsie with me. We don't know if he's going to be the same guy.
I just heard the sound of urinating in the hallway.
Yeah.
I hope no one's peeing right now.
Same. I from the waist down he's gonna be the same, but from the waist up he's gonna see more. He's gonna be fantastic with reading defenses. He's gonna come back, and I think it's gonna take a couple years, but I think he's still gonna perform extremely well.
And I hope he does. I truly do. I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs in the playoffs, but Patrick Mahomes is an absolute. He's a baller. He is. I can't take anything away from his game and his passion. He loves football so much. He's such a competitor, and I really hope that he comes back strong. And I almost hope that he is not as mobile as he has been to force him to be more of a pocket passer, because I think that just levels up his game in a season where they most likely have to rebuild. They are not making the playoffs next year, probably. And that is just how it goes. We're moving into the next phase of a dynasty that takes a rebuild. So,
Yeah, you look at Tom Brady. His 20 years in New England. First couple years he won. Next 4 or 5 years, however long it was, he didn't win. Even with Randy Moss and all that. But then after that, once he got Gronk and he got Edelman, and he had a little bit of a running game, he won again. I think the biggest injury, though, and the one that means the most, is the Michael Parsons injury.
I agree. That is, I don't think Green Bay's out of the playoffs automatically, but that is essentially equivalent to losing a quarterback. I think you just lost your defense.
That's a one and done.
That's so unfortunate for them. A team that really could go all the way. Their season was just ended with a terrible injury. Micah Parsons, another insane competitor, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. Definitely one of the greatest defensive players in the league right now. And that's a tough way to go for a team that was really biting at the top spot. I don't see how you move forward from here.
No, absolutely not. And I know we have a couple more injuries on the Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, that's the run game. That's extremely important. It does help Jordan Love. He is able to do more in the play action. Without Josh, it's a little bit harder for him to engage into that. Christian Watson, I know he throws more to Dobbs.
He loves throwing to Dobbs, but Watson has emerged as more of a wide receiver one lately. The chest injury seems to be kind of spotty on whether or not that's going to be long lasting, but yet another big injury on that team where they're really struggling right now. Other notable ones, we've got Roma Dunze re-aggravated his foot injury. I don't know that that's a huge change for the Bears, but
I think if he comes and they'll let it rest a couple weeks, come back for the playoffs, they're going to be fine.
That's probably fine. I don't think they desperately need him like some of these other ones, but he is a notable player on that offense. Devontae Adams with that hamstring injury at his age. We'll see as the week moves forward if that's a little bit more substantial. I don't think that team needs him to function, but that is a major player on the offense.
It is, and I know he's not playing Thursday against the Seahawks, and I think that's fine. You know, the Rams can drop a game or even a couple games. If they keep him healthy, if they get him healthy for the playoffs, they're going to go a little bit farther.
Yeah, and Puka can take the job that Devontae Adams has been doing, but Puka has gotten a lot of injuries this year. He's been in and out of quite a few games. That's going to be a lot on him for a man that has had a bit of a hard time staying healthy with his workload. Other notables, we did have a couple of injuries on the Texans. Derek Stingley Jr. with an oblique injury. I haven't heard a ton of word on that, but that is one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now.
Yes.
And Woody
on
Marks
one of the
with
best defenses, by the way.
Yes. And Woody Marks with an ankle injury that they've already said was not terrible at the time, but they didn't feel that he was needed in the game, so they just went ahead and held him back. So Woody Marks is looking pretty good moving forward, but Stingley is a little bit more of a question.
Stingley, and you know, I know we love Woody. He's one of the rookies out of USC. He's been doing he's doing as well as he could this season behind that line, Nick Chubb and all that. I think having him back for the playoffs or closer to the playoffs is, I don't think we'll need him next week per se.
Maybe.
I mean, as well as Jordan played last week. Granted, it was the Cardinals. They don't have a Max Crosby like the Raiders are going to.
Pretty poor running defense, so I'm not going to immediately say that everybody that ran in that game is the next star, but I think it's looking good for Woody. I don't think the defense crumbles without Derek Stingley, but that's a notable hit. That will absolutely affect the performance.
Agreed. And I think the way the defensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me right now, him and, of course, D'Amico, developing that defense has been fantastic. I think, honestly, I know we're talking about injuries, but I think the defensive coordinator could be up for a head coaching job.
Wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
But, you know, without Stingley, you know, I think because the way they are, and the point of that was, because the way they are game planning and everything, they have a chance to do exceptionally well even without him, as long as he's back for the playoffs.
Yes. We'll just have to see with that. I haven't seen a ton of word just yet. And with that, let's not even talk. I feel like we've talked enough about the playoff picture. You want to do our rankings?
This is our rankings. Our power rankings.
All right. You want to do some on the bubble?
On the bubble, my number 10, I have the Chargers. Just because, you know, I think with that offensive line, they do a lot better. I do think that without the injuries, however, there's other teams that could be number 10. I do know that.
I do have my bubble teams. Even before we get into 10, I have the Chargers, I have the Lions, and the Ravens. Three teams that are right there, but whether it's injuries on the Chargers, questionable play due to injuries probably on the Ravens, or just trying to figure it out with the Lions. They have not quite broken in, but they could very easily, all three of those, make their way in. At number 10, I have the Eagles, our Super Bowl winner from last year.
I can understand that. They're my number 9 on a personal level. However, I do think that they're going to go no farther than the NFC Championship game.
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to get to that far.
I don't think they even make it that far. That's where I'm at with these Eagles. We'll see if that offense can get it together. I could equally see them winning a Super Bowl as I could see them not making the playoffs or even dropping out first game if they do make it. At number 9, I have the Packers, mostly on the back of that Micah Parsons loss. I think that drops them down pretty significantly for what could have been a Super Bowl team. I just don't know how they put it together at this point, honestly.
I agree, and I do think they're going to drop even further further to 10 to on the bubble to maybe one and done in the playoffs.
It wouldn't surprise me as much as that's tragic to see. I don't know how you put it together without Micah. That's a major player right there.
I do agree. For my number 8, I have the Seahawks. Now the reason why
low.
I do, and now the reason why because they let Phillip Rivers keep the Colts in that game for number 1. Jackson Smith and Jigba, amazing. Love
Incredible.
him. He's a Buckeye, OH. However, Sam Darnold has been hot and cold. And, you can't be hot and cold in the playoffs. You have to be consistent. They could go higher as we get to the last 3 games of the season. But for right now, they're my number 8.
I love that so much because I debated with myself so hard to put the Seahawks much lower. I am admittedly a big Darnold denier. I think that he went pumpkin in the playoffs last year. I think the Rams have been his kryptonite, and that's, spoiler, a team that I think is going to go very far in the NFC. And I have a lot of questions about these Seahawks. They did not look good in that win against the Colts. The run game is questionable. The defense is superb, and Jigba is incredible. But Darnold is a big question mark for me, and that run is a big question.
And the head coach, he's a defensive guy, and I think, again, it goes back to that NFC West has a lot of X's and O guys who are extremely smart. He's smart on the defensive side, which is a great foil to Shanahan and to McVay.
Yeah, if you can't beat the Rams, I just don't know how far you can get. I think this game this week, I have literally an asterisk for them. They're a little bit later on my rankings, but I have an asterisk because I think that they, after this week, will either surge to the top or drop to the bottom for me. But at number 8, I have the Bears. Our Chicago Bears breaking the list. Number 2 in the NFC, and I still can't take them too seriously. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good gets better and your better gets best. But
I mean, my God, what kind of more motivation do you need?
this is a successful season for them.
100%.
That cannot be undersold. I don't even think that they drop immediately in the playoffs or something. I am very confident that they make it. I just don't think this is a Super Bowl team. I think Ben Johnson has done something magnificent, and Caleb Williams is taking a massive step forward, but I don't think they're quite there yet. There's a lot of trickery and magic going on, and that team is something to behold, and I love watching it, but I don't think that they're towards the top end like some of these other teams are, like my Patriots at number 7.
Well, to kind of piggyback off your Ben Johnson, a lot of smoke and mirrors even in Detroit. I mean, he made Jared Goff look like an MVP. And not that Jared Goff is a bad quarterback, 'cause he's not. He just isn't,
He's not an MVP.
He's not an MVP. And that's okay. And I don't think Caleb Williams is an MVP. But, man, the fact that he's gotten this far, he's going to win a playoff game. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's going to. And it is a successful season. However, a little bit of fun fact there, because I do have the Bears a little bit higher.
Okay.
Just because of Ben Johnson. I'm not even going to lie about that. They have Joe Tooney on their squad. Sure. Joe Tooney has won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, with the Chiefs. So if history and karma is looking good, he should win one with the Bears. Joe Tooney might be the key to all this. I think that was a great pickup.
I have seen that video before, that he's the magic sauce. But I don't think this is the Bears' year, but I do really like the Bears.
But number 7, I do understand why you have them that low, just because of the inexperience, because it's Vrabel's first year with them. But my God, has he done a great job?
That team, another one that this is a successful season no matter how it ends. I love that team. I love Drake May. I think Travion Henderson is magnificent. That defense, one of my big issues with them is the defense is suspicious. They're very good for a lot of the field. They're, I believe, bottom in red zone prevention. No. They are giving up a touchdown whenever you make it to the red zone, and they've had one of the most easy schedules of all time. I just don't think they're ready for the playoffs right now.
But I do think that easy schedule is great for the confidence building. It's great for the development of Drake, of some of these younger guys, and it's going to help them in the future for sure. But with my number 7, I have the Packers, who again, Jordan Love, he can be great or he can be horrible. I do think that they will drop farther as we go farther into the season.
You do have to remember this is Toyota-thon, so
It may be Toyota-thon, but Bo Nix might be taking that over.
that's true. That's true. Jumping into my number 6, right above the Patriots, I do have the Bills. My biggest problem with the Bills is that I don't have them 6th. I have Josh Allen 6th. This is not a full, complete team. This is a very questionable defense, one of the worst run defenses in the league, a great running back, and very little support for arguably the best player at the quarterback position right now.
I agree, and I at number 6 also have the Bills. So look at us. I think we're going to have very similar teams 6 on up. However, I do think it is Josh or bust. So with the Bills, it's either going to be they're going to make the Super Bowl with Josh, or they're going to collapse in the playoffs, and Sean McDermott's going to lose his job. And honestly, at this point, I kind of see it as a Mark Jackson for the Warriors. He developed the team. He got them ready. Now you need somebody else to kind of get him to the promised land.
Yeah, they kind of just need a closer because I don't think this is the Bills team that wins a Super Bowl. And as it stands, I don't see this team under this coaching winning a Super Bowl. And that's tragic to say, but I just don't see them giving the support that Josh Allen requires to win games.
And sometimes, coaches are just developmental guys. If Dan Campbell never wins Super Bowl, he's a developmental guy. He'll go and build another culture. Same as Sean McDermott. He'll go build a culture. John Harbaugh, he'll go build a culture. And that's okay. It sucks because that's going to look, kind of crappy on your resume. But we'll remember them as culture builders. But what leads me to my culture builder, number 5, is the Texans. DeMeco Ryans coming in, to building up that defensive culture, building the Texans back up after Bill O'Brien, and building up the city of Houston to where we are respected and we are proud. And even J.J. Watt gives shout-outs to everybody.
Mwah, mwah. I have the Texans also at 5. I love this team so much because I'm from Houston. But realistically, this is the number 1 defense right now.
Has to be.
You can argue the Broncos are up there with them, but I think you can pretty confidently say this is the number 1 defense in football. And I feel like this offense is really playing their best game so far. This obviously against the Cardinals, but this is the best that they've looked all season. They're trending upwards. I have more faith in this offense than I do the Broncos in a lot of ways, but they don't have the win-loss to really, trend with that. But I have a lot of faith in this Texans team.
Absolutely. And the fact we started 0-3, the fact that we have also won with 2 quarterbacks, Davis Mills and with C.J. Stroud. C.J. also last game played smart. He didn't take any hits. He threw the ball away. He didn't do anything that was super risky. He played quarterback correctly, kind of looking more like that rookie CJ compared to what he's looked last year, even this year. And
Absolutely.
I think DeMeco's a great coach. I think he is the right guy for us, even though he is a defensive coach, and I definitely need more offensive coaches. But also defensive coaches. For my number 4, I do have Vrabel and the Pats as my number 4. I know they're inexperienced. I know they're young. I know they have one of the weakest schedules. But because of that, they do have Drake May, who is kind of killing it. He's number 2, number 3 in the MVP, in my opinion.
I may argue he's number 1 in the MVP. He's having quite a year. I love the Pats. I really don't want to take a ton away from them. I just don't think this is a Super Bowl ready team. I could see them taking down a couple of teams in the playoffs, but I don't think they've got that DNA all the way. At number 4, I have the Seahawks, and I hate them being there. I really wanted them lower, but I can't deny that win rate. I can't deny the weapons. And Jigba,
oh my
Jigba. God, he's so good at football.
I think after this year, we talk a little bit of college, Ohio State's not going to produce as many top wide receivers just because Brian Hartline, he's left. He's no longer the wide receivers coach, no longer the offensive coordinator. Went to South Florida to be their head coach. I don't know who they're going to get. Hartline has produced Olave. He's produced, you won't go back a little farther, Michael Thomas. He's produced Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's produced Jeremiah Smith. He has produced so many great wide receivers for the NFL.
Yeah, he's incredible at what he's done, and Jigba is magnificent. The 1-2 punch that they have with Walker and Charbonnet is not bad. It just doesn't seem to work like it's supposed to. That defense is the highest scoring defense in the league. I love this team, except at the quarterback position. I have so many question marks about Darnold, and I think this game, this upcoming week, will really decide if the Seahawks are legit or if they're a sham, but they're sitting at my number 4 apprehensively. And then at number 3, I have the 49ers.
I respect that. I totally get it. Kyle Shanahan, he has done a lot with a little. He could win Coach of the Year with what he's done, in my opinion. I think with his aging weapons, he is using them to the best of their abilities.
They should have had an awful year this year, but they keep winning.
Especially on the defense.
Yes, they should be awful, and they're in the running for number 1 seed. At this point, I'm past being able to deny it. This team there's so many big talents. The defense is my bigger question mark, but Saleh has really put stuff together despite the injuries.
Yeah.
This team is legitimate to me.
I think Saleh has shown, and also even Aaron Glenn has shown, that the Jets is just kind of a dumpster fire, and it's the pit of hell for coaches. He could get another chance elsewhere to be a head coach. I think he is honestly the coordinator of the year for what he's done. I mean, he's missing Fred Warner, he's missing Nick Bosa, a bunch of other players. However, I definitely have 49ers just because of all of the injuries and all of the other issues they've had. A kind of a bubble team that could change. But my number 3 is the Bears.
The Bears so high.
Now, yes, they lost to the Packers. They've lost some interest. They've lost some interesting games. However, Ben Johnson has them believing, and belief is a deadly weapon. I think that they're not going to go far. This is regular season, right? Once we get to the playoffs, it's going to be a whole different ball game. But man, they could go down if they lose out, or if they win out, they can even stay where they're at. I don't think they're going to be ever 2-1 in my book. But Ben Johnson, he started off a little shaky this season, but he has came and
he's done something special.
Yeah.
You have to admit, no matter how you feel about the Bears, he's done something special. I think my biggest thing, my top 5, I'm really looking at teams that I feel like could win the Super Bowl and would not blow me away. The Seahawks are the only team in my top 5 where I'm like, eh. And the Bears, I just don't see making it quite that far.
Yeah, and your 3 being the 49ers, I don't think they're going to. I mean, they might. They're going to probably bump a good team.
I would not lose my mind if they made it all the way. I don't think that they can with their injuries.
I might lose my mind just because they've been in the Super Bowl so often. However, if Shanahan was to win this year off of this team, I mean,
that's magnificent.
That right there is Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's Hall of Fame. I think what they've already done with this season that should have been a dud. I don't think that this Niners team is the best team in the NFL, but I cannot deny what they've done with very little. And my number 2, I do have the Broncos. Again, a little apprehensively, but you can't deny they've got some quality wins under their belt. That defense is insane. Bo Nix is playing his best football. A couple of weeks ago, I would have had them a lot lower despite being the number 1 seed. At this point, it's not quite locked up, but it's pretty solidly in their favor. And with the offense starting to click, it's just hard to deny that team is legitimate.
I also have the Broncos number 2. Bo Nix has definitely developed this latter bit of the season into more of a consistent quarterback. Sean Payton, as we've seen in the past, has done his best coaching later on in the season, and you can see it now. The defense has kept them afloat all year long. And they have just had a lot of quality wins. And they are number 1 in the AFC West, which at one point was considered probably the strongest division in the AFC.
Outside of the Raiders, the AFC South may have been before Daniel Jones was injured. I don't know.
And I think before, like, if we go preseason, right?
Yeah.
You had Harbaugh, you had Reed, you had Peyton and Pete Carroll, and all of those guys, Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be the most insane season of all time for the AFC West, and it just didn't quite end up like that. AFC South was a lot of surprises, but as it's gone on, that has been a very surprising division. Notable teams that I have left off of this list before we get into our number one. Jaguars did not make my list, and I have no hesitation in that.
Yeah.
I think that team is one off of whimsy, and I won't I won't give them satisfaction.
I won't take anything away from Liam Cohen, besides Duval. He needs to learn how to say Duval a little bit stronger. However, I mean, he was the coordinator for Baker Mayfield. He's done a lot of great things. I think he is the coach for Jacksonville. I just don't know if Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback for Jacksonville.
I just don't think he is. Jacoby Myers has been a huge pickup for
huge.
them.
And other teams could have gotten him. And guess what?
They didn't. And their run game has been so good. But Trevor Lawrence, they beat the Chiefs because he tripped on his birthday. That's kind of the energy that I feel like this team has had all year. They're winning in spite of Trevor Lawrence so often that I don't care if they're winning the AFC South right now and they're like the number 4 seed or something. I just don't care.
No, and I think, even if we were to face them again, I think our defense just kind of smothers them.
Yeah.
I think other teams that I left off is the 49ers. I think the issue that we have is the NFC has so many teams that are pretty prominent. That could be that 6 through 10 spot that sometimes things get left out, like the Niners.
Yeah.
I think even Tampa or even the Panthers.
I have no NFC South teams on my list or on my bubble, and
nor
I have
should
no
you.
regrets. I don't care about the Panthers or the Bucks at this point. The Bucks have fumbled the bag so hard, and the Panthers are truly the most hot and cold team I've ever seen in my life.
Amen. And, like I said, I at one point maybe thought Lions were 10, but they've been so hot and cold, as you've been saying. And honestly, the NFC North has been very strong this season.
It has. This is even the Vikings are 6-8, I believe.
Yes, they are 6-8.
Yeah, so I mean that whole division. I thought that going into this season they would be the strongest division in football, and not the way that I thought it would go, but it definitely has been an extremely strong division. But I mean, we have the same number one. It's the Rams.
It's the Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford, he actually could be the MVP. He well earned. One of the oldest quarterbacks in the league right now. And, it's not the same as when him and Aaron were in the NFC North, but he had a back injury start the season. He didn't do OTAs, he didn't do preseason, but he is looking
dipped into the fountain of youth, and he's looking incredible. Puka Nacua has unleashed the demon inside of him. Kyron Williams is running like a maniac, and what is his
Vidal?
No, Vidal's Chargers. Blake Corum.
Oh.
Blake Corum is their second. That is also going insane.
It's going insane.
That whole team, and the defense is phenomenal too. Legitimately, the Rams are so good that I don't know how someone beats them. This is how I felt about the Eagles last year.
And Jared Verse, second coming of Aaron Donald. I know Aaron Donald has joked about coming back for the Super Bowl. That second one.
Sure.
I hope not, just because
at that point it really becomes impossible.
I am an AFC homer. But this is the NFC's year to lose the Super Bowl, in my opinion. The Rams, fantastic. I am sure that this could be Matt Stafford's last year. One of his friends from childhood, Clayton Kershaw, just retired from the Dodgers. He's done for the year. They're the same age. I mean, they grew up together. I mean, and baseball's a little bit easier on the body unless you're a pitcher, which Kershaw was. But he's taken so many hits. You go back to Detroit, you see the NFL film where he gets his shoulder popped out of socket against the Browns.
Yeah. And he cries for a second. He says, "Take me back out there."
Oh yeah, he's cussing and swearing. If he started off elsewhere than the Lions, might have had closer to a Brady career.
Yeah.
But he just became over 500 in his career.
Yeah, it's so poetic for this to be his last season, whether they win the Super Bowl or not. Which
could
honestly,
be his last season. Could be his last season.
Could be. I think he is my front runner for MVP. They are my front runner for winning the Super Bowl. I legitimately don't know who wins the AFC, but looking at the whole roster, my most likely is probably the Broncos or Texans.
Yes.
And I don't know how they beat the Rams, truthfully. I don't think either of those teams can't beat them, but this Rams team is insane.
It is. Real quick, before we move on. AFC Championship game, I'm going to say it right now. Texans-Broncos. NFC, Rams-Bears.
I like that. I'm going to say I do like Texans-Broncos. I'm not looking at the playoff.
Oh,
picture,
and by
so
the
I
way,
don't know if
hopefully CJ does not get concussed again against the Broncos.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. I'm not looking at the full playoff picture, so I don't know if like Broncos Texans could even happen. But I do like that as the AFC, just based off the lineup, because I don't feel like this Bills goes all the way. And then NFC, I'd probably say either Rams Niners or Rams Seahawks.
I can see that. I that'd be fantastic as an NFC West rematch again. They would have played 3 times this season if that's the case. However, how where they finish in the rankings is who they're going to play, obviously. But just for fun right now, we're just going to say that. Now, speaking of fun, each of us are going to tell each other 5 games, and we're going to give one word answer to this. We may or may not talk about it, but I do feel that this is a really fun exercise in what we think happened. So I'm going to let Grayson go first for all of his.
All of mine, because I did my homework. I wrote them all down. All right, 1 word response, Ravens Bengals.
Ugly.
Falcons Bucks.
Disappointing.
Bills Pats.
Exciting.
Lions Rams.
Confusing.
Colts Seahawks.
Surprising. Now, because I'm kind, Cardinals Texans.
Beautiful.
Raiders Eagles.
Ugly.
Packers Broncos.
Tragic.
Niners Titans.
IDC. I truly don't care at all.
And probably another repeat of IDC, Dolphins Steelers.
Turned the ball over.
That's more than one word.
That's Tua's last name. Yeah.
It was definitely something. To kind of finish out everybody, thanks for listening to us for a little bit longer than we had anticipated. However, first show, we're kind of getting the swing of things. We're going to look at the Week 16 slate, kind of give our predictions, starting with Thursday night against the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you have, Grayson?
Rams, Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams belt to ass Sam Darnold once again.
I agree. I do think that, with McDonald being a first-year coach, he doesn't have that experience that McVay does, who, by the way, has coached for over 10 years and is only in his 40s, by the way.
Crazy. He looks great, by the way. I would do crazy things to him.
Amen. I am a big man, so I really can't say anything. That's going to be on, and we're not sponsored by anybody, by the way, Amazon. I also take the Rams, even without Devontae Adams. I do think, even though it is an away game for the Rams, that, and the 12th man will be there, it'll be a little bit colder, that McVay is just going to outclass
Yeah,
McDonald
I think they just get outcoached. As much as I don't take anything away from the Seahawks home turf, I just think they get outcoached this one.
Absolutely. And with the holiday week, by the way, we do have some Saturday games. The Philadelphia Eagles against the Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears at Chicago, so a rematch of a couple weeks ago. For myself, I do take the Philadelphia Eagles. It's division, but however, the Commanders are the Commanders.
Do I want to be spicy already?
You can be. I mean, we're not betters, but however,
we're not betting. I think the Eagles lose to the Commanders. I don't really have any great reasons for that. I just feel like Philly's such a shit show right now. Is trying to figure out that offense. There's so much at each other's throats, and the Commanders have been playing surprisingly well. Defense, very questionable, but the offense is better than it should be a lot of the time, and Dan Quinn is probably playing for his job, so I would take the Commanders, but I would not put money on it.
I would disagree about Dan Quinn coaching for his job. I do think maybe next year, if this continues, he will.
True.
Just because he does have a little bit of equity from last year.
I'll challenge it because he has played so recklessly. The injuries to Jaden Daniels, I think, have really sped up his timeline where it didn't need to be.
I can see that. With the Green Bay at Chicago, this one's a little bit harder. This one's at Chicago, and, the last one was at Green Bay, and that was still a close game. They came back. This is a toss-up. What are your thoughts?
This is a really tough game. This is one of the tougher to call games on the entire slate, honestly. I could go either way. but I'm going to say Chicago, home field advantage, coming off the Micah Parsons injury.
Yep.
Green Bay is going to be at a little bit of a loss. I'm going to take Chicago. I think the Bears pull this one out, but it's going to be an absolute nail-biter of a game.
I agree. I think it's going to be an exciting game to watch. I do agree that Chicago is going to be the winner. I think it could even possibly go into overtime, if not definitely the last couple seconds of the fourth quarter.
Imagine they tie. The Packers are the only team with the
2 ties. I mean, that would be interesting for sure. Really quick speed run here. Buffalo at Cleveland. Buffalo.
It's Buffalo.
Los Angeles at Dallas. This one actually might not be a speed run. I actually might take Dallas in this one just because of the injuries and the high coming off of the Chiefs game and everything. I think that this actually could go to Dallas.
I would take Dallas as well. I think the Chargers are just so banged up. They are coming off a big high. They just rolled the Chiefs out of the playoffs. And that whole team is just so banged up. The Cowboys don't have a lot to play for. They're
not in the
they're
playoffs
not
just
eliminated, yet. But it's less than 1%. They need to win out, and they need the Eagles to lose out, which would require the Eagles to lose to the Commanders twice. And then Dallas also needs to beat the Commanders. So if some magical thing happens to where the Commanders beat the shit out of the Eagles, why are the Cowboys beating them is kind of my question. But I do think Dallas maybe takes this game.
Right, and I say Kansas City at Tennessee. This is kind of a 50-50 ball for me. I mean,
think Tennessee takes it.
I can understand that. Gardner Minshew isn't Patrick Mahomes. However, he's not the worst quarterback. I'm going to kind of actually agree with you. I can't say Kansas City.
Because of vibes more than anything.
Correct.
Chris Jones took a little injury there too. This is the first time we've seen a lot of these players not make the playoffs
in
guaranteed.
years. And Chris Jones didn't even know they were eliminated until our reporter told them.
Yeah.
He was very hopeful.
I just really see this being a really tragic game to watch, and Tennessee kind of throttles the Chiefs.
And then going on to Miami at Cincinnati, I actually would take Cincinnati in this game.
I take Miami.
No,
I take Miami in a game that's, again, really hard to watch. I think Burrow is defeated, and Miami hasn't really had much to play for, and they've been playing out of their mind. That defense is so trash. I really think Miami takes it in a game that no one wants to watch.
I agree with that no one wants to watch it. However, I think Miami's going to throw in Quinn Ewers or somebody else, and Joe is just going to dissect that defense.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The Jets at New Orleans. I'm going to take New Orleans.
I'd take New Orleans, and I'm proud of it. I think the Jets are the worst team in the league, and the Saints are surprisingly good for how bad they are.
Amen. Going on to Minnesota, New York. This is a little bit tougher, but Minnesota's been on a 2-game winning streak. J.J. McCarthy is feeling himself a little bit more. He's a little more confident. Kevin O'Connell's a little more confident in him. Even Justin Jefferson's a little more confident in him. I'm going to take Minnesota over New York.
I'll take Jackson Dart on the bounce back. These are two teams that don't have anything to play for technically. Both of them are just rookies learning, and I think Jackson Dart has got a bit of a chip on his shoulder right now and wants to win a game.
I can see that. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm still going to stick with my Minnesota pick. In the last game of the 12 o'clock window, we have Tampa at Carolina. I don't know.
I'm staring at a tie. I don't know.
You know what? I think a tie is fair.
Truly, I could go either way. I'm going to say the Panthers right now.
It is a home game. Dave Canals is his name. I remember it now. Now that the alcohol's flowing through me. Everybody. By the way, again, everybody put down how many beers you think we drank. Each
6 or 7.
6, 7.
Yeah, I'm going to say Carolina mostly because it's home, and I really could go either way on this. At the start of the year, I would have said Tampa Bay definitively, but these Panthers are playing, and Tampa is not. Really.
No, not at all. And Canales, he's showing to be a great coach. And, if they can kind of do some finagling, maybe getting some different pieces, this could be a really good team in the future. Moving on to the 3 o'clock slate, Jacksonville at Denver. I'm going to say Denver just because fuck Jacksonville.
Not even on fuck Jacksonville, but I do think the Broncos wallop the Jaguars to the point that anybody that was starting to take them seriously goes, ew. I don't think the Jags are ready for this defense. It would not explode my mind if they win, but I think it's going to be really ugly for one team or the other.
Plus, also, if Denver wins, that helps out Houston.
Yes.
Going on to Atlanta at Arizona. This one's a little bit tougher, actually. I still would take Atlanta just because they've been on a hot streak. Arizona's woes are not because of Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. However, they have shown that they are not a good team, and Jonathan Gannon does not care anymore.
Yeah, Cardinals are done. Brissett is doing his best. He's getting literal records out here, but it's just McBride, no one else. That run game is non-existent. The defense doesn't care. That team does not matter. I'll take Atlanta because Bijan Robinson is a maniac.
I agree with that. Moving on to now 325, we have Pittsburgh at Detroit. This one's a little bit tougher to judge because, again, Pittsburgh came off that win, Detroit coming off that loss. Honestly, and this might be the bit surprising one of the slate, I'm going to take Pittsburgh, and I don't like saying that.
I'm going to take the Lions. They know that their back's against the wall. They have no choice but to win this. They just beat the Cowboys. I think they know how important this one is, and the biggest problem with that Pittsburgh defense is getting dissected by good quarterbacks, and Goff is a good quarterback. I think he knows how to do it. I think the run game struggles, but this is the first time this year maybe that the passing game looks very strong.
I can see that. I won't be surprised if Detroit wins. However, I will still keep the Pittsburgh. Next up, the last game of the 325 window, Las Vegas at Houston. Obviously, we are Houston homies. We're Houston homers, if you will. I'm going with Houston, and I think it's not going to be close.
Even if I wasn't living in Houston, this will be some of the worst football you've ever watched. I think the Vegas Raiders got 62 yards, I believe, in their previous game against the Eagles, which is the lowest of the Super Bowl era for the Raiders. I think it will be lower than that.
And the defense is not nearly as good. However, I do think maybe in the third or fourth quarter, Houston defense will kind of let up a little bit as they did against the Cardinals and let them score. And I'm going to that game, so hopefully I don't. Hopefully it's exciting and it's exciting enough to enjoy it. And then the Sunday Night Football on NBC, we have New England against Baltimore. This one's a little bit spicier.
This is one of the more spicy games in the entire slate. I think you can make an incredible argument for both of these teams. New England does not need it, but it does help them a lot. I want to say with this win, they might clinch the division. I believe so. You'd have to check me on that, but I think they've got enough of a gap that this does. They're only up one, maybe not. But this is a big game for both teams. The Ravens need it. They don't get kicked out of the race with a loss, but they absolutely need it. I'm gonna take,
and it's a home game.
I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think Lamar is trending up. I think this Patriots team is coming off of their first loss in a long time, and they're gonna be a little bit more confused than they've looked for a while. I don't think they're gonna look bad by any means, but just a little bit messier. And I think the Ravens are going to take it in a game where the Patriots don't quite look like themselves as much as they have. This is one of the more serious teams they've also gone up against besides the Bills.
That was going to be my point, is that Baltimore is probably one of their tougher teams. Now, if everybody was healthy, if they were going to probably play the expectations as we thought they were going to at the beginning of the season, I do think this would have been an automatic loss for New England no matter what.
Yeah.
However, I do think it's a close game. I do think it's Baltimore, and I'm going to give a score, actually. 28-25.
Okay. 28-25. I mess with it. Yeah, I don't think this is like a crazy blowout or something. They're not gonna like Bengals them here where they blow them out. But I do think this is an ugly game where they stick in it, and it just kind of shows that they're having a harder time against some of these tougher opponents. And the Ravens are above 500. I don't even think they're not like a super serious team right now. Yeah, they're 7-7. They're exactly 500. But this is the Ravens. This is Lamar Jackson. When they work, they work. And I just don't think the Patriots are all the way ready to like super hang with the big dogs. I think this is a one below that like S tier team that's kind of get their shit pushed in by some of these these really tough dogs.
I can see that for sure. And I do think that the Ravens are kind of catching fire at the right time.
Yes, 100%. They're starting to really look like themselves. They're not all the way there yet, but I think the Patriots may be the time that they do, and they kind of break that struggle they've had in the red zone against the worst red zone offense.
Yes, absolutely. And then finally, for our last game of Week 16, Monday Night Football, San Francisco at Indianapolis on ESPN ABC. Again, don't sue me, please. This one, you have to take the 49ers.
It's the Niners all the way. I hate to give up on the Phillip Rivers love story, but I just don't. I don't think they got it right now. The last game was really well played in a lot of aspects, but you just got to kind of take the season for what it is. I don't think Rivers is bad by any margin, and I think this is probably another game that's kind of looks a little bit like that game against the Seahawks, where neither team looks spectacular, but I think the Niners take this by a touchdown and a half.
I can see that. Robert Saleh is going to know how to plan against Phillip Rivers. He's going to be prepared. Even if he doesn't have his elite players, he's going to scheme in a way that's going to show Phillip Rivers his age more than the Seahawks ever did. And, Seahawks have a first-year head coach. Kyle Shanahan has now been there for a while, and he is going to show Shane Steichen why he is who he is. And I don't think Shane Steichen's a bad coach. I think Indianapolis would have been better off if they hadn't had as many injuries as they had. But this is San Francisco's game to lose. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, he's going to get his yards, I think, but I don't think it's going to really mean much. Christian McCaffrey's probably going to run all over these guys. I actually will probably also give a touchdown and some change, so probably 10 points.
Yeah, I think it's about a 10-point difference in a game that looks pretty close for the first half. Nobody looks great, and then the Niners just slowly take it.
Absolutely. That is our Week 16 predictions with us. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been our first episode of Cracking a Cold One with the boys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you want to criticize it, we get it. Our first time doing this. However, thank you for listening.
I love you.
This is Christian.
Grayson.
And this is Crack Home with the Boys. Have a great one, everybody.
Mwah. Kisses.